In this video, I'm going to be testing a $7,000 camera, the Red Komodo X, to see if these more expensive cameras really make a difference. These high-end cameras are popular for bigger budget productions, but are they really that different from the one that you already own? Now, if you're wondering if your current mirrorless or DSLR camera can work as a second camera to one of these high-end cameras, in this video, I'm going to be putting that to the test.
Now, there's something very interesting that a lot of people don't know about David Fincher's movies like Gone Girl and The Social Network. And that is that they were shot on really low ISOs on Red cameras, specifically the Red Epic Dragon and the Red One MX. Fincher is famous for using very low ISOs, often as low as 100, to achieve his trademark clean, sharp, and noise-free look. Shooting at ISO 100 on these cameras ensures the highest possible quality and also preserves a lot of the details.
Another big reason for this is because older Red cameras didn't handle low light situations very well. Increasing the ISO too much on these cameras can very quickly introduce noise, and even though this can be fixed in post-production like using denoisers, but the thing is, when you use these denoisers, it often leads to a loss of detail.
Thankfully, things have come a long way. Red has significantly improved the performance of its newer cameras. For instance, Fincher's recent film, The Killer, was shot using the Red V Raptor. The cinematographer Eric Messerschmidt pushed the ISO as high as 2000 for some scenes. And interestingly enough, part of the production also used the Red Komodo. And here's what Messerschmidt had to say about it. "I adore the Komodo. I've shot a lot with it. It's great because the color processing and science is identical to the V Raptor."
The Red Komodo X, for example, has ISO 800 as its base ISO, which makes it excellent for shooting in some low light situations. Now, this doesn't mean that there will not be noise in it, but compared to older Red cameras, like the Red Raven, for example, the noise is significantly less. And as you can imagine, being able to shoot at ISO 800, it definitely gives you some flexibility in your lighting setups, and especially when you have to shoot some really dark and high contrast scenes. So if your budget, for example, doesn't allow you to bring enough powerful lights, you can be rest assured that you can push your Red Komodo a little bit in the ISO, and with some cleaning in post-production, you wouldn't be losing any of the fine details.
For a quick comparison, I put the Komodo X side by side with my faithful Sony A6300 in a typical high contrast dark scene, and here are the results.
Next up, let's talk about the global shutter. Did you know that a lot of the high-end cinema cameras like the Arri Alexa LF, the Sony Venice, the Canon C500 Mark II, they actually use rolling shutters rather than global shutters? Because it doesn't seem that way, but the difference is that these cameras are able to reduce the rolling shutter effect by using high-speed sensor readouts. Now, the Red Komodo X, on the other hand, has a global shutter, and this is actually quite rare for a camera at its price point, because by having this feature, it automatically puts this camera in leagues with much more expensive cameras like the Arri Alexa 65. Now, what is this global shutter and why is it even important? To explain simply, imagine you are photographing a fast moving car, a speeding car. With many cameras, for example the Sony A6300, the car is going to appear a bit bent, a bit distorted. This is because that camera uses a rolling shutter. Now, the Komodo X's global shutter, on the other hand, eliminates this problem completely. If it photographs that same car, no matter how fast that car is looking, the car is going to appear straight. Now, this is because the sensor captures the entire image at once, as opposed to the rolling shutter that doesn't do that. So this helps to keep fast-moving objects looking natural and normal. The global shutter helps to eliminate this thing called the jello effect, which is when the objects appear bent. So in general, this makes the Komodo X much better at shooting fast-moving subjects, and even when you're making like really quick pans like they did in that musical film, I forget the name, it's able to preserve the lines, it's able to make sure that everything looks straight and nothing is looking bent or something, nothing is looking really weird. Now let's look at the comparison. Again, the Komodo X against my Sony A6300. And so if your shoot involves a lot of fast movements and quick actions, understanding your camera limitations is crucial. So for static shots with very little or minimal movements, you should be fine with most cameras with rolling shutters. But the minute you're going to be dealing with a lot of fast movements, the difference between a standard mirrorless or DSLR camera against a higher end camera like the Red Komodo X, the difference will become as clear as day and night.